Have you ever imagined that a book could carry secrets so profound that it inspires both curiosity and fear at the same time? The Shams al-Ma'arif is exactly that. An ancient text that reveals spiritual practices, talismans, and even ways to connect with the unseen. For many, it resembles a portal to understanding the cosmos, a pursuit that, in truth, reflects humanity's desire to understand the Creator and His works. Isn't it curious to think about how the Bible also presents stories and psalms that speak of protection and miracles? This book is not merely a compendium of mystical knowledge. It reflects how powerful words can be. Just as Genesis shows us that God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Genesis 1:3. The Shams al-Ma'arif explores how letters and words can be used to influence reality. It's an intriguing concept, especially if we consider that divine force is the central point of this idea. What's interesting is that while some see the book as a tool for spiritual growth, others deeply fear it, as if it could open dangerous doors. After all power comes with responsibility. Yet, even with its controversial reputation, the Shams al-Ma'arif remains an example of how humanity tries to decipher the mysteries of divine creation. But how can a book create such an impact? Perhaps the answer lies in the figure behind its creation, someone who also sought to understand the secrets of God and existence. And that's exactly what we'll explore next. Ahmad al-Buni, the name behind the Shams al-Ma'arif, was more than just a writer. He was a seeker of truth, a Sufi who dedicated his life to understanding divine creation. Much like Solomon, known for his wisdom in the Bible, al-Buni delved into knowledge that went beyond the ordinary. He believed that each letter and each name of God carried a special power, as though they were keys to unlocking the secrets of the universe. Although many called him a magician, al-Buni saw his practices as a form of worshiping God. He used the Arabic alphabet to explore spiritual connections, believing that the letters contained a reflection of God's creative power. Just as the Psalms in the Bible speak of the power of praise, al-Buni believed that the simple act of reciting divine names could transform lives. Additionally, al-Buni taught that spiritual practices were not about manipulation, but about harmony. For instance, he recommended specific meditations and recitations to attract peace and balance, practices that closely resemble the moments of prayer and devotion taught in the Bible. It is fascinating to think about how these traditions may intersect, even in different contexts. The legacy of al-Buni is both spiritual and practical, and his vision is what gave life to the Shams al-Ma'arif. But what exactly does this book contain? Prepare yourself, because the next step is to dive into the heart of its teachings. The Shams al-Ma'arif is a true encyclopedia of spiritual wisdom, exploring themes ranging from talismans to the cosmic connections between letters and numbers. But more than that, it serves as a reminder that knowledge can be a way of drawing closer to God. Just as the Bible teaches us that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, Proverbs 9:10, this book invites readers to seek understanding with humility and reverence. One of its most intriguing aspects is how the Shams al-Ma'arif presents talismans. It's not just about creating objects, but aligning spiritual intentions with the Creator's principles. For instance, the book explains how to construct magic squares using numbers that represent divine energies. This is similar to the Christian tradition of using symbols and psalms for protection and consecration. Additionally, the book explores the science of letters, showing how each word is a manifestation of divine power. The idea that God created the world through His Word is as present in the Shams al-Ma'arif as it is in the Bible. These connections make the book more than just a mystical work. It serves as a reminder of the spiritual power within our reach. With so much condensed knowledge, the Shams al-Ma'arif acts as a map for those who wish to explore the mysteries of creation. But how do these theories come to life in practice? That's what we'll explore next. The theories and practices of the Shams al-Ma'arif are a window into the relationship between the visible and the invisible, as an extension of God's creative power. One of the central concepts in the book is the creation of talismans using magic squares. Imagine constructing a talisman with numbers and letters that, according to the book, channel divine energies for protection or harmony, something that echoes consecration practices in biblical tradition. Another fascinating aspect is the science of letters. The book teaches that each Arabic letter possesses a unique vibration connected to the universe created by God. This is not so different from the Christian idea that the Word became flesh, John 1:14, where the Word itself is the expression of divine power. By reciting or writing these letters, the reader, according to Al-Buni, aligns themselves with higher spiritual forces. The book also teaches invocation practices, but always with caution. Al-Buni emphasizes that these practices must be conducted with reverence, always invoking God's name as protection. This is similar to biblical practices of praying for discernment and divine guidance, placing trust in God's will. These practices are not for casual curiosity. They require study, intention, and respect. And how does all of this connect to the historical evolution of the Shams al-Ma'arif? Let's delve deeper. The Shams al-Ma'arif, like many ancient works, has not remained intact over the centuries. Just as the Bible underwent translations and interpretations, Ahmad al-Buni's book has been shaped by generations. What we recognize today as the modern Shams al-Ma'arif is a mosaic of writings, blending elements of the original text with additions from other mystics and scholars. It's almost as if the book were a river, with each era contributing its waters, enriching and reshaping its course. These changes do not diminish its value but instead prompt reflection on the transmission of spiritual and human knowledge. How can we discern what belongs to the divine essence and what was added over time? This is a question that also arises when studying sacred scriptures, where careful interpretation is essential. Such a journey requires discernment and humility. Remarkably, even with these transformations, the Shams al-Ma'arif retains its essence, exploring the connections between the divine, the human, and the cosmos. Its Sufi foundation, with its emphasis on the quest for God, remains evident even amidst layers of mystery and controversy. This reminds us that spirituality is dynamic. It adapts, evolves, and renews over time. Now, these changes also raise an intriguing question. How did culture and religion influence the journey of this book over the centuries? That is the next step to understanding the enduring impact of the Shams al-Ma'arif. The trajectory of the Shams al-Ma'arif is deeply intertwined with the cultural and religious context of the Islamic world. Just as the Bible influenced entire civilizations, this book was shaped by a society where spirituality, science, and culture coexisted uniquely. However, while the Bible was widely adopted as a spiritual guide, the Shams al-Ma'arif walked a fine line, being both revered and feared. The foundation of the book is firmly rooted in Sufi cosmology, which seeks a direct connection with God. This is a point of convergence with many religious traditions, including Christianity, which also values closeness to the Creator. However, the Shams al-Ma'arif expands this quest by exploring the universe as an expression of the divine, where each letter, star, and element is part of a greater plan. Over time, however, the book began to be viewed through different lenses. In some communities, it is celebrated as a source of spiritual wisdom, while in others, it is treated as dangerous and even heretical. This reflects cultural shifts and tensions between the traditional and the modern, a theme not exclusive to Islam but also seen in debates about science and faith across various religions. These nuances show that the Shams al-Ma'arif is more than just an esoteric text. It is a reflection of humanity's deepest questions about the divine. But why, then, has it become so controversial in modern times? That is a question worth exploring. In modern times, the Shams al-Ma'arif has taken on an almost mythical reputation, often being regarded as a forbidden book. This perception reflects cultural and intellectual shifts that have shaped how societies deal with the mystical. Just as many question the miracles and stories in the Bible, the Shams al-Ma'arif has been labeled as superstitious or dangerous by those who prefer a more rational and materialistic approach. This change was also driven by reformist movements within Islam, which sought to reject practices that did not align with a more pure vision of the religion. But is this so different from what we have seen in other traditions? After all, Even in Christianity, there have been intense debates about spiritual practices involving symbols, rituals, and invocations. Despite this, there is growing interest in the book, especially with recent translations. For many, it is not a black book, but rather a work that invites reflection on God's power, the role of spirituality, and humanity's relationship with the cosmos. This contrast between reverence and fear is what makes the Shams al-Ma'arif so fascinating. And you? Have you ever stopped to think about what these mysteries might mean in your own spiritual journey? Perhaps it is time to look at numbers and words not just as abstract concepts, but as reflections of the divine. After all, numbers also tell stories. The numbers in the Shams al-Ma'arif are not merely mathematical tools. They are expressions of God's creative power. Just as the Bible uses numbers in symbolic passages, like Jesus' 40 days of fasting or the 12 apostles, this book assigns profound meanings to each number, connecting them to letters and cosmic forces. It is not just mysticism. It is a way of seeing the universe as a divine work of art, where every detail has a purpose. A powerful example in the Shams al-Ma'arif is the creation of magic squares. These are not just numerical patterns, but representations of universal harmony. For instance, to attract protection, the book suggests creating a 4x4 square associated with Jupiter, a planet linked to prosperity and luck. It is as if each line and sum of these numbers formed a geometric prayer, a symbol resonating with the divine principles of order and balance, and, additionally, the book explores the power of words combined with numbers. The recitation of Bismillah, 121 times, for example, is an act that blends devotion with divine mathematics. Isn't it curious how this resembles the practices of praise and repetitive prayer found in Christian traditions, such as using the rosary? Both show how repetition can amplify our spiritual connection. These numerical concepts remind us that in divine creation, everything is interconnected. Letters, words, and numbers are not just tools, but expressions of something greater. And if this is true, what other connections can still be discovered by exploring the mysteries of creation? Now that you have seen how the Shams al-Ma'arif reflects spiritual exploration and divine power, I ask you, what will you do with this knowledge? The Bible teaches us that, "My people perish for lack of knowledge," Hosea 4:6. So how can you use this wisdom to transform your life? Perhaps it is time to pause and reflect. Are you connecting with the purpose God has for you? Remember that the power of words and numbers lies in how we use them. Declare blessings over your life. Pray with intention, and seek knowledge that elevates your spirituality. But more than that, share this journey with others. Leave your comment, share how this story has impacted you, and tell us what you think about these profound ideas. And of course, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate notifications to continue exploring such transformative topics. The next discovery might be what you need to take a step forward in your spiritual life. Shall we? Are you ready to keep growing?